Call the meeting of the Salary Board to order. I'd like to start with the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Thank you. No, I don't. Okay, if you want to start with Mary Rose.
Chairman Schock announced that today's salary board meeting was duly advertised in a local newspaper, and at this point, public input on agenda items would be available.
And actually,
Your Honor.
This is not an agenda item, but the judge had asked if he could make just a brief announcement regarding some issues that have been in the press recently.
So I did reach out this morning to our corner of Green County, and I would like to schedule a roundtable in the courthouse. This would be the topic would be how to curb areas, yes, and check his schedule availability. I have to check his today would be the best way to get that one out. Just set it up this morning. Some sort of.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Continue on.
Any other public input? Okay. A motion is needed to approve and dispense with the reading of the minutes of the February 2nd, 2016 Salary Board meeting and the March 1st, 2016 Salary Board meeting.
Okay,
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
A motion is needed to eliminate the cost collection supervisor position for the Pathonetary's office.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the question. This is basically a house cleaning item related to some things that we did at the last salary board meeting when we changed some positions, as is the next one. So it's an elimination of a position that's no longer needed because of some other positions that were created. So is there any other comment on that? Okay, all in favor or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
A motion is needed to eliminate 3 secretarial positions from the District Attorney's office.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded on the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes.
A motion is needed to change the title of Planning Director to Director of Planning and Economic Development and establish a starting salary of $72,000 for Don Alexander.
Is there a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded on the question. This is something that is a departure from what we've done in the past with this position. It's something that we discussed extensively during our budget discussions and budgeted for some additional monies for this position to find someone who had a strong economic development background in addition to someone who could head up our planning department. We had several people that we were looking into. Don came very well recommended. I think he's on his way here today. I don't know what held him up because he had texted me he would be here. But we think that it's something that we want to do for the county to try and really spur both new economic development and to develop the relationships we need to with our existing employers and industries to keep them here, so that they aren't moving to other communities and areas that are vying for them as an employer as well.
You know, everybody, when you run for a campaign, you say you're going to try to do things to bring industry in and all, and I think this is our commitment to that. And we're trying to bring somebody in to help improve our county, and we'll look at it, maybe quarterly to see how things are going. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Is there any further comment? Okay. Karen, we should do a roll call vote since this is expenditure.
Controller Grayson,
Yes.
Commissioner Best,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Chairman Shaw.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
A motion is needed to approve the salary for Kathy Jeremiah as Grants Manager in the Planning Department at an hourly rate of $20.19 per hour.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
So,
Second.
motion made and seconded on the question.
What is the salary? I mean, why aren't we, if they're salary employees, why aren't we stating the salary? I mean, why?
Do you know what that?
That's due to, I guess, how they receive money from grants or other funding sources.
Okay.
Probably because we bill, almost like bill out to
Is
other
that just in
departments on that
planning,
basis.
or?
Yeah,
Okay.
there are other departments that do that, everybody in planning,
So we reflect it as an hourly rate, so there's no issue as to what
Okay.
that rate is.
everybody in planning is.
Okay. And Kathy, was that your understanding of what your hourly rate was going to be? All right.
Okay. Is there any further comment on the question? Okay, all in favor, state aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? Well, actually, you know what, that should be a roll call vote as well, I apologize.
Controller Grayson,
Yes.
Commissioner Best,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Yes.
Chairman Shaw.
Yes, motion passes.
A motion is needed to establish a salary of $67,000 for the Chief of Probation, with management being 80-hour exempt employee.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made second on the question. Judge, maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about, in general, the structure change you're proposing.
First of all, I do appreciate Commissioner's controllers and summary of that, giving me this opportunity to try to move forward. There's a lot of some personnel decisions I have to make. These positions, chief of probation and deputy chief positions, have not moved forward. And, I've been here, our third month.
Your Honor, I know you and I have had extensive conversations about what you're trying to accomplish over there in terms of really a culture change, much like this administration is attempting to implement on our side of the aisle, so to speak. So we appreciate that, and we understand that sometimes makes requires making some adjustments like this. Just to clarify one point, because I know there had been some confusion at one point about with the budget. We had a new sort of regime taking on or coming on over in the courts at the same time that we had a new group of commissioners coming in, and there were a couple of different versions of the budget that came over, and that's no fault of anybody's. It was just what it was. But my understanding is that when you make the representation that this is within your budget, that is within the actual budget we've determined is the correct one. And I know that we'll be making an adjustment here at our upcoming meeting to reflect. I think at the last, at one point near the end, our budget director utilized a budget that wasn't actually the one that you thought we were going to be utilizing, and so it was off fairly significantly, but that's an adjustment we'll make. But you're within the budget as your actual budget with this. So.
We're going to be cost conscious. We've done some things that I think that we actually are going to operate on the low budget. So whatever confusion there is, we're using that on the lowest possible budget.
Yeah.
Which we've talked to you about.
And we appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments?
Well, I have a few comments. The budget was off, I think, through probably our fault in the administration side by about $173,000 in favor of the court. And I guess my concern is that when we looked at our budget, we came up short, and we had to make some cuts and some changes. And we were only able to balance our budget, the lower budget, because the former board went with a different insurance program. So we got an introductory rate, right? And that's the only reason that we were able to balance our budget. So my concern is, one, I think there should be a budget amendment that notes that 173,000, and two, I'm concerned that increases that weren't budgeted for, even at the lower end, I don't remember having these increases in front of us when we considered the court's budget, will put us over at the end of the year, and the insurance won't stay the same. We're not going to have an introductory rate. So that is my concern, Your Honor, and it's not, I understand what you're doing, I understand the issue between the union and the supervisors, and looking at least number 10, the motion that we're on, the chief, obviously, you said you're promoting from within, and this person, is moving from one step. I believe this person was a deputy, and they're moving up to the chief's position. So they're taking on more responsibility. That person, realized at least 2 raises this year for 2016, one being the 2.5 cost of living. The other one was effective January 1st, was something the former board did, was give them a raise to move their work week up to an 80-hour per pay period. So that put this person at 65, 627, 64. So in consideration the fact that they're moving from deputy to chief, I'm going to give you the benefit of adjusting that salary simply because they're taking on more of the responsibility. I, however, remain very concerned with the rest as we go through. I'll call out about that budget, because had it not been that we took on Geisinger, we would have been significantly in the red. So I will approve it simply because the person's getting a different title and more responsibility.
And again, I think from our conversations, Your Honor, you had indicated that your willingness, which there wasn't in the past, to utilize the Act 35 funds to offset those are good, and both now and in the future, as those funds come in to supplement your, the salaries to keep that under control.
I actually, last week, made an administrative order lowering the Act 35 assessment against communities. It had been raised last year to $65 a month, I wanted to $50 a month because it felt, A, we were getting sufficient monies in, and the other reason is that these defendants, it's difficult for them to come up with these funds, and I'd like to make them realistic. I have the opportunity if next year, if we need to raise that fund, that assessment.
If I may, Your Honor, is it just because in the past, the Act 35 fee wasn't freely utilized to help with compensation, or was it in prior years? I mean, I don't know. Is it that you're willing to dip into that money now because you recognize it as that's what it's for? Okay.
Rick, let me just also say to the public, when the judge first came to us with this, these were not the proposed salaries. There has been a lot of negotiations and a lot of compromise on the judge's part and on our part, and so if you think, well, Your Honor, the judge is getting whatever he wants, he's not. This has been a negotiation. This is where I feel we can handle it with our budget. The increases were needed because of the way it is below, with overtime and things, the salary that they were coming with. So this has not been something that the judges came in and asked for, and we gave them. We have been negotiated with both the judge and Kevin, and I think we hit a compromise that is realistic and that we can handle.
Commissioner, I'd like to add
Yes.
something. I'm glad that Judge Saylor brought up about the flexibility of the Act 35 charge, because we need to remember that back in June, when we had a salary board meeting to increase the 2.5 hours work week and maximum of 3 hours overtime a pay period, that $15 increase was factored in as a means to supplement those extra costs over the 3 years that the line staff was not taking a raise. So we're just going to, as a county, need to make sure we monitor that to see if, we find that we need to increase that Act 35 fee, because that increase was to give us an estimated $288,000 in added or in revenue to offset those costs that they introduced us in that salary board meeting.
And that's kind of my concern, is that, I'm looking at what took effect January 1st, 2016, and I don't know if you have this, Your Honor, but it was based on the increases in the Act 35 to be able to cover the raises that they already did get. So this is an additional raise. At the same time, we're lowering that administrative fee. So that just remains my concern.
The other thing is that part of this is that they are giving up overtime. I don't know what the breakdown was, but they treated the overtime as something.
I have a comment about the overtime. Under the IRS, just because you call someone salary exempt, doesn't make it so. Just because you give them more money doesn't make them any less so. My professional opinion is that they were salary exempt before. And just because you give them overtime, well, that's okay. You can give a manager overtime. It's a bonus. It's an adjustment to their salary. It's not overtime. You get in trouble when you have people that aren't salary exempt working overtime and you don't pay it. You don't get in trouble when you offer it to people that are salary exempt. So, to me, when I looked at what the prior board did in giving those raises, You know, they said they're going to change their hours from 37.5 to 40, and overtime not to exceed 3 hours per pay period. To me, that was just a raise. I mean, they got a raise, and then they got the 2.5% raise.
The way I look at it, I look back, is everybody's trying to do it.
Right. Yes, thank you. That's,
My approach is, no, we're not going to try to create it. I'm not going to eliminate a position and then say, okay, we're just going to work harder. I'm not here eliminating positions. It's just a straightforward, these are the positions, we need these positions. This is what is compensation. I've interviewed some outstanding candidates for these positions, and we can't even touch their salary. So, that's just the reality of the situation.
yeah. And I mean, my
These people are going to leave because
right, and I understand that, and I know where they go, and they do get paid more money for less work, less caseload. You know, it's my opinion, when you're in a management position, you are going to work overtime. You are going to work extra hours. People are going to call you on your day off and text you and email you, and that's part of that position, which is why for number 10, I'm in agreement with you.
and then on this,
Right.
Listen, also, whatever the prior administration did, we're here to fix it, and I think that's what we're doing. And I think we're doing it the right way, and we're not going around the bush or anything else, and I think what we're doing is the right way to do it, and we're correcting it, and we move on from this point, and let's forget about the last administration.
Okay. Is there any further comment on the question? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
President Judge Zaylor,
yes.
Controller Grayson,
Yes.
Commissioner Best,
Yes.
Commissioner Shipatano.
Yes.
Chairman Shaw.
Yes. Okay. Motion passes.
A motion is needed to establish a salary of $57,500 for 2 deputy chiefs of probation, with management being 80 hours exempt employee.
Okay, is there a motion? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made second. Any comment on the question?
What was the former salary of the deputy chief? Or what is it currently? 65? So I have down 65, 627, 64.
That's with overtime.
Okay. So just by way of question, we're decreasing that to create another one on the juvenile side? Is that the intention, Your Honor?
It's just the individual who will assume that position.
Well, there's two. So the,
On the juvenile side, yes, that's right.
okay,
On the adult side,
for that individual, right? I'm just trying to understand, because I'm looking at payroll, and that position paid 65, 627. I'm just trying to follow the ball.
So, that, I believe, falls in line with, you look at what the chief said, and then you look at all the one of the deputy chiefs that is an integrated system will actually be, a former juvenile. I believe it should have comparable salaries. Argument already, and that was a position that just could not attract anybody from outside. So, this is a good
Is there any other comment on the question? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote?
President Judge Zailer. Controller Grayson.
Yes.
Commissioner Best.
Yes.
Commissioner Shipton.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
A motion is needed to establish a salary of $55,000 for 3 probation supervisors, with management being 80 exempt hour employees.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. On the question?
What question, Your Honor? 12, 13, and 14, they just state supervisor. Looking at payroll, I'm seeing supervisor 1, supervisor 3. I mean, what are the, I don't understand which distinguishes 12 from 13 to 14. What are the classifications? What's the difference?
There are already 4 individuals in those positions. And it's an increase for those supervisors to be on the line to integrate plan here and what the salaries are for those who are above them, and then in relation to those people that they supervise. That some of the people who are doing that are supervising are bumping up against that.
Do you know what that number is?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
union.
Highest paid. No, you have 159. Yeah.
And what are they, what's their classification? What is their
They're
classification?
line staff.
I do.
You have it out on this briefing, is it ARDPIS? Well, yeah, in your payroll system. But what's your question? The line, the probation officer, let's say, PO, we had yeah, it's PO interns, interns, ones, 2 or 3. So it'll be PO 3s.
Is what these are.
No.
That's what they're making.
That's the highest union staff.
If I may add, the one thing that, in terms of the controller and commissioners looking at the salaries, even though you have some employees that are higher than your supervisor, there was also looking at the years of service. That comes into play too. And the one thing that you have is we traditionally, and this is what Judge Saylor has been talking about, you've had the union being able to advance the line staff, and the management staff have been, especially in juvenile, have been more stagnant. So that's why you're still going to have line staff probably earning more than some of the supervisors.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the salaries, and, I mean, these are supervisors. Supervisors 3,
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying you have 3 motions here, and they all say for 3 probation supervisors, for a probation supervisor, for 1 vacant new supervisor for probation.
Okay. Can you?
I can tell you why they're supervisors 1, 2, 3, because the low paid compensation kind of throughout history, there used to be 1, 2s and 3s. How they were slotted, and I don't know the tower that was DEC, but it was slotted.
I guess what I'm getting at here is, you know, there were 3 supervisors that just received a raise on January 1st. And these are the same people, they're doing the same work. So is that 12? Is that 13? Or is that 14? I'm assuming it's 12.
There are 4 people in
Well, the thing is the supervisor threes are currently making 55,438. So are you asking for a decrease then?
I think actually when we did look at that, we did see that the motion on number 12, that those people were basically almost staying exactly where they were, that they weren't getting, if any, raise, or actually losing a little bit. But the question was, Judge wants parity in it as far as all of them, and that's where we decided that we should have different tiers there. So the first two are basically, if you look at it, might even be losing a little bit of money to compensate for what's happening to the other people.
That 55,438 number is current salary with overtime.
So they're getting 55.
I mean, you could just,
Straight
No
with
overtime.
Right.
Yeah, because there were a couple of them where we're actually, they're getting a little less if you factored in the overtime.
and so 13 would be the twos then, Joe? Supervisor twos?
I don't know what they take at this point.
All right, well, I'm ready on 12.
Yeah. Maybe what we can do is, if we go through, as we go through these motions, to put something that's kind of descriptive into the ultimate motion, that we
Well,
can
it is,
identify
though,
which
Your Honor.
supervisors we're talking about, which supervisor position.
Anybody at the salary that's higher than your existing
No, the threes, the supervisor threes are getting that adjusted salary, what they're calling overtime, but it's nothing more than an adjusted salary, and that's at 55,438.
so 55,438.
But that's the one that you have down as
I'm still
55.
fine, Judge, at 55. And let's just keep,
Yeah.
I know you're gonna tell everybody that
right.
you've gotten a decrease.
Well, that's what I mean, is that, I
But
just
it-
want to,
But this is a proposal that came back from the commissioners. I asked for 1,500. So in the spirit of trying to resolve this, if I can amend the motion to 55,438.
I mean, if you look at their salary before the overtime and the 80 hours, it was 52,486. So if you add their additional hours plus their quote overtime, it's 55,438, but that's what they've been getting as an adjusted salary since January 1st.
Were they,
So basically.
were they getting that overtime all the time, though?
Yes.
That's the thing. isn't
That's,
it?
that's,
Yes.
that's contingent on them getting that all the time.
So far,
Yeah.
I looked at a few.
They just adjusted their pay. They don't fill out sheets. It was nonsense. They adjusted their pay. That's what they were getting.
So we'll just make it their existing salary, except their hours. That is their salary.
Yeah.
So
438.
55,438.
But I think we can still also justify that even at 55,000, we're still seeing, you know, an increase over 52,486, which is the current salary. So I don't think they would have a means to complain about that either.
You know, here's where I am, Judge. I think the motion was made. I think let's continue the motion at 55, and let's see where we are with that. I know we're talking about the overtime, but that wasn't guaranteed, and we don't even know for sure if that would have been taken. That's my proposal.
Well, that's the motion that's on the table right
Right,
now.
that's what
so
I
it's-
think we should vote on that.
Okay. Is there any further comment or question on this motion? Okay. I will take to a roll call.
President Judge Taylor? Controller Grayson?
Yes.
Commissioner Best?
No.
Commissioner Tanner?
Yes.
Chairman Shaw?
Yes. If that becomes, motion passes. Your Honor, if for some reason it ends up being problematic, you know, we have an open dialogue and you can come back here.
A motion is needed to establish a salary of $52,000 for probation supervisor, with management being 80-hour exempt employees.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the question. No? If there's no comment, then we'll do a roll call vote.
President Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Controller Grayson?
Yes.
Commissioner Best?
No.
Commissioner Chickattown?
Yes.
Chairman Shaw?
Yes. Motion passes.
A motion is needed to establish a salary of $50,000 for one vacant new supervisor for probation, within management being 80-hour exempt employee.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the question. Okay, if there's no comment, we'll take a roll call vote.
President Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Controller Grayson?
Yes.
Commissioner Best?
No.
Commissioner Chickattown?
Yes.
Chairman Shaw?
Yes. Motion passes.
A motion to increase the hours of Denise Vanella in the Controller's office not to exceed 22.5 hours per week.
Is there a motion on the question?
I would like to say something, Commissioner.
Oh, yeah.
This
What
was
do we
a-
want to, we usually get a
I'm
motion and a
sorry,
second
I'm
first,
sorry,
and then we'll have
yes.
a comment on the, is there a
I'll make a
motion?
motion.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Grayson. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there a comment on the question?
Yes. This was a request I had. Denise is an excellent asset, not only to the Controller's office, but I believe to the whole county. We assist many departments with issues that at times go above and beyond what we feel is the call for the Controller's office. But we all realize that we are here to move Northumberland County forward. Denise has roughly 26 years of experience in government accounting. And, I just want to note so that everybody realizes this is not a request for any increase in salary. It's a request for hours worked. It's a 3-hour increase in work week. She's only going to get paid for the hours that she's physically working.
Any comment on the question?
My only comment is that I think, I agree with everything you said about Denise. I think that Denise is doing more work and has a heavier workload because of other reasons. And I have talked to you about this, Chris, and I feel that my concern is that no one is cross-training. The more that she does the work, the less people will understand how to do the work in the individual departments. I do see that you dropped it down from your original request, and I appreciate that. But again, this isn't in your budget, so we'd have to amend it, right? To
Right.
come up with the money.
It's going to be, we're only looking at, now for the remainder of the pay period. So it's not near the impact that we initially had looked at. We do have some other possible sources of revenue that we're looking at. Historically, I do run under budget. Anyway, last year I was under by $24,000. I'm not one of the departments that make sure they get rid of all their money at the end of the year, just because we have it. As far as the cross-training, we have been from day one when I started here. I had 3 of us in our office that we do audit work on numerous different departments in the county when we do our June 30th and December 31st closes. And what we do is we swap jobs every year so that we are getting the experience of working on different departments, but also have the opportunity to work along with, say whoever did the audit for the previous period, to bounce questions off them. So I feel that definitely is a means of cross-training.
When you bill, let's say, is she doing weatherization work now? Is she doing that
She
type of?
does a portion of weatherization work, correct?
When you bill for those hours spent, is that based on her hourly rate? Okay,
No, we bill on an average of the actual hourly rates of the people that work on that department.
Okay.
We
Because,
bill our actual hours we're working on the department, but we take an average of, if there's 3 of us that might do work on weatherization, then we would take an average of our salaries, and that's what we would bill those hours to weatherization at.
I'm asking because we had a meeting with weatherization, and here was their concern. That they laid people off, and they actually, at the rate of the bill that they're getting, they can't do as many jobs. So, in other words, less homes are able to be done because of the bill that comes from your department. So I guess I'm asking, and you just answered, that's an average of all of it, but hers is included in that, her hourly rate.
And if weatherization would like to sit down at a later time, at the convenience of the commissioners, if they feel that there is a different road they want to go down as far as hiring a fiscal person on their own, even at a part-time rate, if they think it would be cheaper than what the contract is with the county, which is a maximum of 1,000 hours or $1,000 a month, if they feel that, they're losing money, then maybe we could pursue leaving them out of that contract, and they could, hire, a part-time fiscal person. I would like to see the numbers that truly come out if we would go down that road.
Okay. They said,
Go ahead. Jim.
no, I just want, they said the last bill, I think they said was like $2,000 or something like that. I
Can't
mean,
be.
yeah,
There was a proposal to look at upping, that got
Yeah.
squashed.
And,
Yeah.
and
did that come from your office, Chris, or?
it came from our office to request to be able to bill at a maximum of $2,000 a month. All we bill is the actual hours that we work on weatherization. Sometimes it might be $400 a month. That's all we're allowed to bill. But if it's $1,400 for a particular month, we can only bill $1,000. And therefore, that's lost money to the general fund. So we just wanted to be able to bill at the actual hours that we physically work on weatherization. The current contract that was penned up, I think back in
I think it was 2009, I think.
Yeah.
2010, that was a number they came up with. But we just wanted to be able to have the opportunity to recoup the physical time that we're putting into weatherization at the benefit of the general fund.
So if they're concerned that they're not able to do as many houses, or they have to lay someone off, they can just take another look at their accounting services and maybe like readdress that themselves, or, but that would be what you're billing at. Your proposed rate is that 2,000?
No.
No.
No, that hasn't been,
No,
that'll
no.
be something that we would have to address, and,
Right.
and I think that
We're
right now.
capped at 1,000 right now.
You're
Yeah.
capped?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even at that 2,000, it would fall under it would fall within the amount that's allotted from the state for administrative, but in past practice, when they've had money left over in administrative, they move it down and they apply it to be able to do more jobs, which gets more of the housing done. But it doesn't fall outside of the guidelines that the state allows for administrative expenses. So that's
So if
kind
you're,
of a question
if
for
you're
us to-
capped at 1,000 and they're not losing any houses until they get to 2,000, then they're not really losing any houses. Am I right? Is that another way of saying it? I mean, I don't want to increase her pay. What they're telling us, what they told us, is that if they have to pay that rate, and it was 2,000, it wasn't 1,000 or 1,800 or whatever, that they literally can't do more homes. And, I just want to understand how that could be if you cap it at 1,000. How do you even get to?
Right now it is capped at 1,000. They had a proposal, which is really, while it's a way of offsetting additional costs in your department, it's independent of this issue. I mean, it's a way of bringing other revenue, as there are other ways of potentially bringing other revenue through billing out to other programs. But it came up around the same time that Chris had mentioned, wanting the ability to perhaps change that contract to allow it to bill up to $2,000 a month. So in those months where they bill an amount that actually, let's say it was $1,400, they'd be able to bill $1,400 in that month and get recouped for that. That would come out of the administrative allocation that's given to weatherization. It wouldn't exceed that, and it was an amount not to exceed 2,000, I think was the way you had worded it. So as Chris said, if in a given month, even though they raise the amount not to exceed to 2,000, may only be able to bill 400 in a given
Because, I
month.
mean, the way-
In another month, it might be 2,000, another month, it might be 1,400.
The way they explained it is it isn't administrative money set aside. It's all one pot of money.
No, they get an allocation from the state for administration. What they do then is, if they don't expend all of that, they can get permission from the state to move that down into the job so that they could then do additional jobs. So that's really more of a, but that's not a decision really for the salary board. That'd be a decision for us, which we haven't changed that contract. We haven't. Right now, the contract is still at 1,000.
Here, I just have, I appreciate all the questioning, and I think we need to do that and bring this out at meetings and be very transparent. But just so the reporters and the people know, a lot of these questions we ask in our daily job. These are things that we go around and try to find out. We don't come here and now we're asking Chris all these questions. Okay?
Debating
Why
for the first
not?
time we've had
Why
some-
not?
No, I says I'm fine with doing that, Kim. I'm fine with doing that.
I think
But
you're just letting people know
I'm just saying,
we aren't addressing
I
these
wouldn't-
things for the
right.
first time here, that we've
I want to
had
make sure they don't
discussions
understand it. We're
Well,
sitting. we're-
I am, because I never got an actual answer to that.
Well,
I
then-
mean,
well, then
you have weatherization
I'm
telling us
speaking
one
for
thing.
myself then.
Well, I only spoke to weatherization, Chris. I never got to ask you this question.
Well,
I mean, maybe they did, but I didn't.
Trish is on the second floor right above our office. Thank you.
I thought you came down the other.
You know,
day.
I'm sorry, I thought the purpose of a meeting is when you debate these things.
I said, I
No, I
appreciate
thought-
that. I appreciate it bringing up. I think the public should know. I think we should be transparent. I just want to let them know that during our daily schedule, that we're also answering and asking questions like this. That's all.
Okay, is there any more comment on the question? And the only other thing I would add, Chris, is you and I had a conversation about, I mean, I know your department ends up getting involved in some things, and it's very helpful to the county, and I think that, we want to work through a process, but that's going to take some time, is to find the places and the things that are maybe taking up more of your department's time than they should be because of needing to either get training in other areas and things like that. That's a process that, to do it right, is going to take some time. And, I view this as in the meantime, we're making sure that the people who are doing the work are getting the opportunity to be paid for, because I think you had indicated at one point that Denise at one point, as of about a month ago, had already worked probably 30 hours that she wasn't getting
There are certain
paid
times
for
of
it,
the
yeah,
year
and
that we have work
yeah,
that has to
it just has to get done, and so I recognize and appreciate that, and appreciate her efforts in that regard. So
I think we're at a vote.
if there's no other comments, we'll take a roll call vote.
Controller Grayson,
Yes.
Commissioner West,
Yes.
Commissioner Shiverton,
Yes.
Chairman Schwartz.
Yes, motion passes.
Any old business?
So,
Hearing none. Any new business for the order? Any public input at this point?
all right, did you? Are you? Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say something. Okay, all right. If there isn't, then we will recess to the call of the chair. We'll now call to order the special public meeting. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Kevin, for coming. Called to order the special public meeting. You can go ahead, Mary Rose.
Chairman announced that today's special public meeting was duly advertised in the local newspaper. Citizens input, agenda items only.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to the solicitor's report.
Motion to adopt resolution R 29-16, resolution is executed following documents subject to final review by the solicitor. Temporary road use permit between pipeline permanent roadway easement between Northumberland County, the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC in the amount of $3,150 for Northumberland County tax parcel 00A-00-077-016 and will not be pipeline. Permanent roadway easement between the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC in the amount of $3,150 for Northumberland County tax parcel 00A-00-077-018 Township for activities related to maintenance and inspection of a pipeline. Permanent roadway easement between the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC in the amount of $3,150 for Northumberland County tax parcel 00C-00-077-021 Township for activities related to maintenance and inspection of the pipeline. Permanent roadway easement between the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC in the amount of $3,150 for Northumberland County tax parcel 00C-00-077-142 in Cole Township for activities related to maintenance and inspection of the pipeline. Option and easement agreement right-of-way between the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC, granting an option for $226,468.50 with an additional $226,468.50 due upon execution of the option for Northumberland County tax parcel 00A-00-077-013 Cole Township, Pennsylvania, for the installation and maintenance of the pipeline. Option and easement agreement right-of-way between the County of Northumberland and Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company LLC, granting an option for $114,081.50 with an additional $114,081.50 due upon the execution of an option for Northumberland County tax parcel 001-00-077-083 in East Cameron Township for the installation and maintenance of the pipeline. Purchase and construction agreement between the County of Northumberland and Universal Field Services, Inc. on behalf of Transcontinental Pipeline Company LLC for Northumberland County tax parcel 008-00-077-013 Cole Township. Purchase and construction agreement between the County of Northumberland and Universal Field Services, Inc. on behalf of Transcontinental Pipeline Company LLC for Northumberland County tax parcel 001-00-077-083 in East Cameron Township.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made and second on the question. Just for the public, this is an easement agreement with the Williams Pipeline Company. It's going to need to traverse a portion of the county ground out on the AOAA park. So basically, it's compensation for that. We worked out an arrangement with them that won't interfere with the park activities. It'll minimize that, but this is something that'll be good for the county, and ultimately, it's done in a way that, again, will not interrupt the activities that are out there. So, okay, any further comment? All right, I guess we'll do a roll call vote since it's involving funds.
Yes, Frank, thank you for your work on this.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is there any old business? Any new business?
Yeah. I'd like to make a comment. We've been getting a lot of calls. I thought there'd be more people, but for the newspapers. We've been getting a lot of calls about the gypsy moth, and Mary Rose has been working very hard looking into that. This year, there's a problem because in order to be in with all the other counties that opted in last year, you had to do that before June of last year. And we weren't in the administration at that time. We are going to opt in this year. Mary Rose will take care of that. And we also will put out on our website, she has a list of vendors that are working with other counties that are going to give us the state rate. So people who have gypsy moth problems could call those vendors and mention that they're from Northumberland County, and we're pretty sure they're going to give us that same rate that they would give to the state people. But we will opt in before June so that we will be able to take part in this next year. Mary Rose, timeline?
Probably by the end of the week.
Okay.
Yeah, now again, one of the stipulations with, some of the vendors would have a minimum acreage coverage in order to do that.
And Mary Rose has been checking into that, so we're going to throw all questions to her when they get called in.
Okay. One item of new business, I'd just like to introduce Don Alexander, was able to join us. He was a little late getting here, probably out trying to drum up new businesses to come into the county before he got here. But I just wanted to introduce him to the folks from the media and the other members of the staff here. We welcome you aboard, Don. Any other new business? Okay, any public input?
Commissioners, can you update us on anything new with the president? I know that there was a
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of rumors and speculation floating around, and we're getting calls, but we really have nothing to report at this time. Anything further? Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting.